All right, so welcome back everybody to a brand new video here on the second channel, and today we're looking at every single deck that got day two at the Birmingham Regional Championships. There are two regionals this weekend, Birmingham and Rio de Janeiro. So there are two major tournaments. We're going to look at most of the decks from day two in Birmingham, and then we're going to look at some of the decks in day two at Rio de Janeiro. There's like 500 plus decks to look at, and I just don't really want to go through 500 decks. That just kind of gets boring and repetitive. So we're going to go through most of the day two at Birmingham and then look at whatever stands out from Rio de Janeiro. We're going to at least break down the top 8. For each of these tournaments, they did have a pretty big meta shift, I feel like. Very different results from what I was expecting to happen at these two tournaments. Some decks are gaining more popularity now, I think, post these two regionals. And with San Antonio this weekend, these results will have a direct impact on what goes down at San Antonio. If y'all are new here to the second channel, make sure to subscribe down below. We're on the road to 21,000 subscribers. And I'll leave a link to the limos down below if you want to check out any of these decks for yourself. All right, starting things off, of course, the winner of Birmingham was the Charizard Pokestop deck. It's not really a turbo Charizard deck, but the Pokestop is an interesting inclusion in the deck. Actually, the same person who won the tournament got second place. It was at Stuttgart. So it's like they've been really digging the Pokestop. I think their previous build that they got second with had 2 Pokestop as opposed to 1. But the Pokestop's interesting. It lets you just dig through your deck a little bit more aggressively when you have all these important items like Buddy Poffin, Rare Candy, Counter Catcher, Stamp, Vacuum. It kind of makes sense why the Pokestop's in there. We actually saw on stream, I think it was in the finals, they were like, Pokestop into 2 Rare Candies, which was insane. So you can do a lot of crazy things with the Pokestop. The downside of the Pokestop is that you can mill important cards. But there's a Pal Pad in the deck to help you out, and then obviously you have Double Rod, Night Stretcher. So you do have a decent amount of recovery, and it just lets you pull off these combos a little bit more effectively because it lets you, let's say you're missing a piece where you're like, oh, I need a candy, but I can't quick search for everything at once. Pokestop can help you get to an insane combo turn, which is kind of why the Pokestop is probably in the deck to help you get there. The second place, however, was interesting, and that was Palkia Terapagos Noctowl. This deck actually won the Rio de Janeiro tournament, which we're going to look at very soon. And this deck might be on the rise. Who knows? It has a good Drago matchup, and I would assume it has a good matchup spread across the board. It's just Palkia, it's just a beach stick deck that has the ability to easily pull off Cologne Prime Catcher because you have Noctowl, right? You just Noctowl for Cologne Prime Catcher Ninja, boom. Pretty good stuff. It's just a beach stick Palkia deck. You do have the ability to increase your damage output with Area 0 Under Depth, where you can just play the Area 0 down, and then Palkia can hit higher numbers, which is harder for Palkia to deal with when you don't have the Area 0. So, yeah, it's a pretty solid deck. I think this deck will probably be popular, or at least some of them are popular going into San Antonio. It did have a good showing in Birmingham, 3 in top 8, and then it won Rio de Janeiro. This deck had an insanely good weekend, so it might be time for Palkia Terapagos to be a lot more popular now. Of course, in top 4, there was one Drago. Drago is still, in my opinion, the best deck in the format, but it was still able to get top 4. We got Brent Tonneson in top 4. One of the best players in the game right now was able to make it still pretty far with Drago. I think the one thing in his list, he does play the Counter Catcher, which gives you 4 gust outs. But with Counter Catcher, with Cleffa specifically, it lets you have a free gust with also a draw supporter, which is smart because you play Cleffa, right? The strategy of Drago is just put Cleffa in the active and hope your opponent can't deal with anything else, right? That's kind of the strategy of the deck. And then your opponent takes a prize. The way if you go 2/2/2, you're gonna be able to use Counter Catcher. Then of course another Palkia Terapagos in top 4. This one doesn't play the Bibarel like the other one did. Does have Judge in the deck. Does play a Ditto, which can give you like an extra basic slot. Plays a heavier line of Noctowl, though, for more consistency. And then we add another Palkia Terapagos in the top 8 once again. This one does not have Bibarel. Does have the Ditto in the deck. Does have the heavy Noctowl. No Judge in the deck, however, though, like the other build did. But yeah, this deck definitely looks good. There's 3 different builds of it you can try out after this weekend. So you just kind of pick and choose which Palkia Terapagos deck you want to play to San Antonio. And then, of course, another Zard in top 8 here. Zard did way better this weekend than I thought it would, considering Drago is the best deck right now. It's kind of shocking to see Charizard do this well, and I don't know if that's just because of the way the meta shifted this weekend, because there's another deck this weekend that saw a lot of play and did pretty well. We'll talk about that very, very soon. And that deck might have been the reason why Drago had a bit of a not really a mid performance, but didn't overperform like I expected it to. At the very least, Gate kept the Charizard deck's way, but I guess Charizard is better into the Palkias and the other deck we'll talk about very soon. And then, of course, another deck that had a good weekend was Terapagos. This deck saw a little bit of a resurgence. Could be an EU thing, but Terapagos Dusknoir did have a good weekend also. I know Tord played it, so had a good showing. And I think this deck probably is going to get a bit more popular going forward. Because yeah, everyone was like, "Yeah, this deck's like B tier right now," but it's, shows it is a lot better than B tier, and I guess it is better maybe into some of these other decks that are getting more popular right now. Then in top 8, we had yet another Regidrago. Simple stuff we've been seeing. There's no egg in this deck. I think egg's starting to get cut now from all the lists for sure. And then we had a Lugia deck here at 9th place. Might have been ASIM cut. So yeah, Lugia wasn't as popular as I thought it would be. I thought Lugia was going to be way more popular this weekend, but it wasn't. That could just be because people were scared to play it, or maybe people didn't want to play the deck because of its little reliance too heavily on RNG. This build does have the double Chino, does play Klefki, so really trying to stop the Thorns pulls, and then obviously you do have a Roseanne's backup in the deck to try to reuse Legacy Energy or whatever, which is kind of cool. So there are some cool things going on in the Lugia list here. If you want another decent Lugia deck to play, I'd probably pick up this 9th place list if you're looking to play Lugia for San Antonio. Guardy at 10th place. Gardevoir's still a really good deck. This one does have the Trolley in the deck, so it's not really the Unfair Stamp or Secret Box build. Plays Trolley to set up, has double TM Evo alongside the Devo in the deck, alongside the Fluttermane on top of all that. That's the Tessagiri and the Arven. The Tessagiri lets you find Arven easier to get that turn 1 Trolley Evo combo off, which makes sense too. Does also play Cresselia in the deck, so kind of more of a spread approach with the Crest and the Fluttermane and the Devo and stuff being in there. Those are in top 16. This one plays Grand Tree, so we see a Treezard here. Does have the Pidgeotto and the Charmeleon. Has the other Charmeleon, though, and then does play Pekron in the deck, too, which is interesting to get that free switch effect, which is kind of cool. Yeah, the Grand Tree is cool. This is probably the highest placement we've seen Grand Tree have so far to Regional. I don't think we've seen a Grand Tree in top 16 yet, so that's cool to see, I guess. Always nice to see that. Snorlax made top 16. Snorlax pretty solid deck right now. I don't know if it's going to be as good into the Palkia deck. We'll have to see on that one, though. But yeah, Snorlax with double Cornerstone. It's got the Regieleki in there and stuff. The Mist Energies to help against Drago. All right. We had yet another Tropicos deck here piloted by Tord. So I think Tord had this list posted on his Metafy. So this list was probably out there in the world. But yeah, Tord is on the Regidrago V-Star Tropicos train. Drago does not attack. It literally is just there to use its V-Star power so that you can close out a game by getting 2 pieces out of your deck, which is really cool. It's a really interesting concept, right? So yeah, Tropicos definitely going to be a lot more popular. Tord did good with it. One made top 8. Definitely a deck that I think is going to gain a little bit more popularity. I think we're probably going to see a little bit more Tropicos going forward now for San Antonio, just because both Palkia and Tropicos Dusknoir did so well. But yeah, Tord's build does also play Latias, another interesting inclusion to get that free retreat in. There's no switch. This Prime Catcher has Thornton Briar, the usual stuff you see within the Tropicos deck. Yeah, the Drago is like the big inclusion. All right, speaking of decks that had a good showing, of course we got to talk about Archaladon. So Archaladon picked up a lot of play this weekend. It was actually a pretty popular deck and actually did really well. There was a lot of Archaladon in day 2. From what I saw on Twitter before I looked at all the lists, this deck had a very good showing. I think part of the reason why everyone was on the Archaladon train is because Archaladon has a very good Regidrago matchup, which is why we do see the Archaladon deck have a good performance. Now, interesting about this build is how it's built. We do see an Eerie in the deck, which is very interesting. The Eerie obviously can be very good against Drago. The idea is you can like get rid of their E-Switch and their Prime Catcher. Can be good in other weird matchups too, like against Zar to get rid of candies randomly, also against like Goldmango to get rid of retrievals and stuff. Does have the Bayonet in there. That's the big inclusion. Was the deck is kind of prone to like Iono spam. You see this build is actually built more of a turbo deck, 4 catchers and stuff, 2 Pokestop, no Fez, which is interesting, but does play the double Bayonet, so if you get Iono, you just have Bayonet for supporter anyways, right? Secret Box also as a spec is interesting. Very cool build of Archaladon. There's going to be a lot more Archaladon we're going to look at. This one was a little bit more simplistic, though, of how it's built. Of course, Sander made top 16 with Control. Control, I think, was in a decent spot this weekend just because, like, it's not really respected, and there's so many different builds or ideas you can put in your Control deck to, like, tech it out. We saw Sander do good. Does have the Milotic in there, which does stop your opponent from being able to Turo. I think the big one was the Paldean Tauros with the attack here that allows you to put 2 energy from your opponent's active stage 2 in their hand. Very effective against Dragapult and Charizard, right? That's the idea of the Paldean Tauros. So that's kind of a cool inclusion in the deck over, like, say, the Bouffalante, whereas the Tauros can just use a double turbo to attack, which is kind of cool. And yeah, nice little control deck from Sander there. And then we got another Drago in top 16 to round things out here. And then got another Drago here in top 32. This one does have the egg in there, though, and the temple, no jamming tower. And we got an Archaladon Dialga. So yeah, Archaladon Dialga also had a good showing this weekend. Not just like the straightforward Archaladon, but Archaladon Dialga was also very popular. Dialga V-Star being able to have these insane turns you can pull off with Star Chronos with Archaludon's ability. This build kind of is like the other one. It does have the 1/1 Bayonet in the deck too for the supporter. Iono-proof engine, which is kind of cool. So yeah, it's a pretty solid Archaludon list. I mean, if you're somebody who wants to play Archaludon to San Antonio, this might be one of the better ways to play. Because I think Dialga would have a lot more value going forward. I don't know if Archaludon has a good Palkia matchup. I would assume it has a good Terapagos matchup, but I don't think its Palkia matchup is as good. We'll have to see on that one, though. It just depends on how you limit your board, right? Because they have Area 0. They can technically one-shot Archaludon, potentially. So you got to watch out for that. A couple of Cloths did well here. Cloth's still like a pretty respectable, like decent all-around deck. Got a couple of them here back-to-back. Another Archaludon Dialga. This one doesn't play the Bayonet. Does play the Lumineon, the Fez. Pretty normal stuff in the list. Got the double counter catcher, 2 Pokestop, 2 Trek and Chew. No jamming tower, I guess, like the big thing. A couple more Dragos here to look at. So we'll try to go through most of the day 2 quickly. We got John Eng here, who's able to make top 32 with Drago also. Another Lugia here in top 32. This one does have the Wellspring Ogre Pawn, 2 Cinccino, but no Klefki or Flutter or anything crazy like that. Another Palkia Terapagos Noctowl here doing good in the tournament. Again, had a really good weekend. We got another Charizard here. Yeah, so the one thing with Charizard, I'll say, Charizard might get better after this weekend just because it should theoretically have a good Palkia matchup. Especially if you go first, you can actually set up before they Greninja you, and then also you have, I would imagine you have a really good Archaludon matchup, right? So that's kind of the thing with the deck. Another Drago here. This one's got Egg, just play Jamming Tower. Another Lugia. This one's got the Wellspring Ogre Pawn. Double Cinccino, normal stuff. Another Terapagos deck here with a Togekiss. I kind of like that idea, actually. Togekiss kind of makes sense, You're already playing the candies, and taking the extra prize can make a big difference. That's a cool concept. Seeing the Togekiss in the Terapagos deck is kind of cool. And it actually had a pretty good showing this weekend, so another cool Terapagos list there. We got another Archaludon Dialga. Once again, pretty good performance this weekend. The 1 Thorn, the 1 Turo and stuff, and then the Scuba Cyclone is a spec. Another Cloth deck here. Again, pretty respectable, decent deck. We have a Sarah Legend top 32. This is kind of the big shocker. Now, Sarah Legend, I feel like, was written off this format as, like, very mid. It actually struggled to get day 2 for a while and finally got day 2, but didn't really have any good placements. But now we're seeing Sarah Legend actually in top 32, the highest placement yet. And this one is playing to the Palkia, which I've really liked. I think Palkia is the optimal way to play Sarah Legend if you're going to play the deck. Interesting about this build, though, is how it was built. There is actually Crispin and Basic Metal and Psychic in the deck. Now, what it allows you to do is use Sarah Legend's other attack, not just Abyssal Flames. The attack here, Raging Amethyst, which does 280 and then discards all energy from it. It lets you have like an explosive turn out of nowhere against like a big Pokemon and gets rid of the energy so you can then power up the Abyssal Flames for later on. So I don't know, if you're somebody who wants to try Sarah Legend out this format, definitely try out this build. It seems pretty solid. I think Palkia Greninja does add a lot of value to the deck, and Palkia is just a really good inclusion because it gives you an extra attacker early on in the game. Kind of like when you're playing Palkia Goldengo. Another Archaludon Dialga deck here. This one's got the Scoop Up Cyclone also in the deck and stuff. We have another Guardy here. This one was the slow build with the Unfair Stamp. It does have the Cresselia and Dedenne. So the Dedenne does give you the ability to put a trainer back, so it's kind of like the Regieleki. And then also the Cresselia does have the Crescent Purge attack. You may turn one of your face-down prize cards face up. If you do, the attack does 80 more damage. It's just like an extra attacker that can hit hard. And you get to see your prizes for the rest of the game, which I guess is kind of cool too. So there is some benefits to that. And also plays the Mawile. The Dedenne is cool because against Zard, you can get Devo back over and over again and like Devo spam the Charizard player, which is pretty funny. Yeah, we got another Lugia with the double Cinccino. Nothing too crazy there. Another Pidgey control. This one's got the 1/1 Noivern in there, playing the Hero's Cape 2 in that build. And we got another Gardevoir, another slow Guardy deck. No Mawile here. It does play the Flutter main, but no Devo. But yeah, cool. We got a couple more Charizards to look at here. Just quickly go through those. A lot of the Zard lists are just going to kind of look the same because just the Zard 60 has been kind of figured out. We got another Charizard. Now, this one is Dragapult Charizard. Now, one of my favorite decks actually also had a decent weekend. So, yeah, Dragapult gives you a nice early game attacker with Phantom Dive, and then you kind of clean up late game with Charizard. It's a deck I've been really loving a lot for a while. I won like 2 League Cups with it. It's a really fun deck. I feel like the deck kind of fell off, though, because of Regidrago's popularity, but, did have a decent weekend, so I don't know. It depends, really, if this deck actually does beat Regidrago, but it is cool to see the deck still do well, and nonetheless, we see some interesting cards like Precious Trolley as a-spec over Neo Upper, or Sparkling Crystal, plays Picnic Basket, also does not play any Pidgeot, which is a big omission from the deck for sure, but, frees up some space. It makes your deck technically less consistent, but, I mean, you kind of have the Dracloak engine, so maybe it's enough. Who knows? Cool stuff, though, for sure. Another Drago here. This one's got Haxorus in the deck and Executors, all the dragons. And we have our highest placing Goldengo in top 64. It was the Palkia Goldengo deck. Of course, Palkia still is very strong. It was the best performing Goldengo in Toronto. Toge's Palkia is still good because you can randomly cheese out prizes. I think the Palkia build has a slightly better matchup, though, into the Charizard matchup, I want to say. I don't know. The Palkia just gives you more value, right? So it makes more sense why. But it is cool to see the deck do well nonetheless. And it's got the Jamming Tower in there. The Intersearch Pro. Yeah, cool. Palkia Goldengo doing pretty good. We got another Trubagos here. The double Boufflant in there. Quathorns didn't do bad either. Quathorns had a good run in Rio de Janeiro. We'll look at that very soon. Quathorns list does play the Devo. It's got the Eerie in there and the Penny to be as annoying as possible. Thorns might be okay if we're going to see more Palkia too. And our Chaladon. Two matchups that are pretty good for the deck. Another Dragapult Charizard doing well. This one was the same 60 we saw earlier with the trolley and stuff. That's cool. Another Archaladon Dialga here. We got Gardevoir doing pretty good once again. The slow Guardy build, the Mawile and stuff. Probably just Henry Chow 60. Another Zard. This one's got Terra Orb in the deck for the extra Pokemon search for the Charizard without having an Ultra Ball. Gouging Fire didn't do bad either. Gouging Fire is like an okay deck. I guess it might have been a little better for this tournament just because of the popularity of Archaladon. Though, to be fair, Archaladon doesn't have a weakness, technically, because of its attack, but it can still be useful because you can go, like, bundle boss, right? So, it doesn't seem like a terrible way to beat Archaladon. I mean, if Archaladon is getting more popular, right, these type of fire decks, like Ceruledge, Gouging Fire, Charizard, seem a lot better in the format. Another Trubagos doing well. Another Gardevoir here, the slow Guardy build with the Flutter and the Mawile. Another Pidgey Control. This one does have NTV in the deck as an attacker, which is interesting. And then we got the double Boufflant in there, which is kind of cool. Then we got another Archaladon Dialga with the Scoop Up Cyclone and stuff. Another Drago here. This one's got the egg in there, it looks like. Another Tropicos Dusknoir. No Drago or anything in there. We got another Dragapult Charizard. Again, same 60 as before. And we got another Charizard there with the different Charmeleon, the 100 HP Charmeleon this time. Another Guardy. Another slow Guardy here. Looks like got the Unfair Stamp, the Mawile in there and stuff. More Cloth. This one's got the Drago in there. Cobalion 2 is interesting to try to push more damage into Zard. I guess it makes sense. So you don't have to, pardon me, put super effective glasses onto the Electrode. Cool. Another Guardy. Let's see here. Another Drago below it. We have a Palkia Dusknoir doing well. It's still like a, decent deck, right? We see the Greninja in there, the usual stuff we've seen in the deck for a while. I mean, this deck's still not bad. Is it outclassed by Palkia Terapagos, though, is the question. Probably. I guess maybe people are just not playing this deck enough, but I guess Greninja's value is also not as high. Or maybe it is if we're going to see more Terapagos. Maybe it's not a bad idea to play it. Raging Bolt did okay. And this one's a bit of a wacky build of Raging Bolt. It's a Fire Raging Bolt build. So the highest placing Bolt deck was not the traditional Raging Bolt deck we've seen. It's more of a fire approach. It does have 2 Entei in the deck, a Gouging Fire and a Delphox. So definitely one of the more crazy lists from this weekend. Cool build, though. There's no Ogre Pawn in the deck, so there's no way to kind of chain the energy. But you have Basin to put energy in play for your Raging Bolt. Gouging Fire does give you a little bit more firepower. It doesn't kind of get punished as easily by, like, Unfair Stamp and Iono because, you don't have to discard energy for the attack. It's an interesting concept for sure. Definitely one maybe I'll try out for a video. Who knows? Double Ancient decks are pretty cool. Another Archaladon here. But double Monkey Dory is kind of cool to heal, do some extra damage. I don't hate it. Jamming Tower is kind of neat, too. Yeah, not a bad list. That list could be good, too, going into the Prismatic format. A couple Dragapult Dusknoir is doing well here. See the Tatsugiri. I mean, see another build here with no Tatsugiri. See, Dragapult also had a decent weekend with Charizard and with Dusknoir. We got yet another Terapagos deck here with the Drago. So, yeah, could have came from the Tord Masterclass. Who knows? We got another Drago, another Archaladon Dialga with Trolley as the spec, and a couple Turbo Energizes to try to get quicker to the Dialga V-Star. Makes sense. Another Drago. It's got the bundle in there. We got yet another Charizard here. The usual stuff. Yep, another Charizard Dragapult deck. Love to see it. Got Gardevoir, the slow build with the Unfair Stamp. Another Cloth, a Double Fish. And then, let's see, we got a couple more Rich Dragos here. This one's got the Halucha and the bundle. A lot more teched out with the 1 prizers. And then we got another Drago there. Let's see, we got another Charizard, another Guardy. This one's got the Cowbell and the Trolley. So really just trying to prioritize that turn 1 setup. With the Trolley, the Arvin, the Team Evo, got the Cowbell in there to make sure you're getting there. Turbo Moon. Now, Turbo Moon, I think, was actually getting a lot more hype post-Toronto, but I think leading into San Antonio, this deck was a little bit weaker for the tournament. But, it's still not bad. It didn't do terrible, for sure. Yeah. See, it was Ross Cawthon who played it. Yeah, Ross Cawthon. Yeah, Ross Cawthon was, interesting. He went to Birmingham. And a Reggie Pika deck May Day 2. Love to see it. This one, it's got the Cornerstone in the deck, probably to help a little bit more against Zard, which is one of the deck's tougher matchups, obviously. But yeah, I like to see the Pikachu Reggie deck do well. How good is it really in this format? I'm not sure. Doesn't seem terrible, though, for sure. Because Pikachu's not a bad attacker, right? So, and then the highest placing Raging Bolt Ogerpon deck was here. I mean, it makes sense. I mean, Raging Bolt is not as good right now. It does farm Drago, and I assume it's okay to Archaladon if you take the first two prizes, but and outside of that, it's just kind of, people have just figured out Raging Bolt's too simplistic and easy to beat. But it's still not a terrible deck. Don't get me wrong. It's not terrible. Another Lugia. This one's got Klefki, the 1/1 Cinccino. And whoa, hold up. A Zerosix Machinations is interesting, and an Irida. Okay, a little bit more of a tech-out Lugia build there. We see the Charizard Trobagos deck. A deck that, after LAIC, I'm surprised hasn't really caught on more, but, you know, doesn't seem terrible. The whole Noctowl Trobagos engine had a good weekend, so who knows, maybe it's good. We got another Zard here with the Bibarel engine in the deck for a little bit of support. A couple more Archaladons. This one's got the Scramble Switch as ace-spec, and then we got another Archaladon here with the double Monkey Dory and the Dialga returning once again. And a high-spacing Lost Box here in Day 2. I don't know, Lost Box is okay right now. I mean, if we see less Drago, maybe it's okay. I don't know how good Lost Box does into Palkia, though. Also, not sure it's too great into Archaladon. I guess actually it's Archaladon matchup's fine, because you have Pikachu, right? Which can one-shot Archaladon and can't be one-shot in return. I guess. Maybe it's okay. Yeah, I don't know. Lost Box is fine. I really want to play this deck more, but it's like just the Drago being so popular is really bad for the deck. But I don't know, if like Charizard can be popular, it's not a bad play either. Now Lugia here. This one's got Fluttermane in there. Got a highest placing Dragapult Thorns. I feel like this deck definitely is falling off a little bit. I played a little bit of it this weekend. I actually played to a challenge. Didn't do good at the challenge because the deck's kind of a pile and just underperformed my expectations. Like I got bodied by Drago, which I thought was supposed to be, but turns out the Drago matchup wasn't as good as I thought it was, and my losses also were to not finding turn 1 Arven for Trolley. But I don't know. The deck's fine. It's definitely, I think, getting less popular now. And I don't know. Just overall, I feel like the deck was a bit mid when I played it. But yeah, we'll see how it does in San Antonio. A couple more Raging Bolts here. And then we got another Trobagos, Dusknoir deck. Another Archaladon here, played by Stefan Ivanov. Of course, we did see the same build in the top 16 there with the double Beta and stuff, which is kind of cool. We got Regidrago doing well with the bundle and stuff and the Haxorus. Now, the Palkia Dusknoir deck. I feel like we'll always see this deck in Day 2, just maybe never perform as well as it used to. Who knows? More Zard. Another Dragapult Iron Thorns with the Toadscruel. And does have the Klefki in there to be a little bit more annoying with the starter. Another Raging Bolt. Another Drago. Another Snorlax with the double Klefki. Another Drago. We got more Guardy here. The slow build does have the Devo in the deck for the Charizard matchup, which I feel like maybe Gardevoir going forward will play Devo more now just because of this weekend Charizard winning. Another Archaladon Dialga, this one also playing the Scoop Up Cyclone for the ace-spec. Another Lugia here. Another Raging Bolt. Another Turbo Moon. Yeah, Baby Pecker and stuff. Another Archaladon. Now, okay, here's where things get crazy. So, Liam Halliburton did play Archaladon to Birmingham, but played this really crazy build with Pidgeot and Dusknoir and Dialga. So, a very combo-heavy deck, right? Plays Thornton, has Scramble Switch, still plays heavy Pokestop. This is a very interesting build of the deck. Now, is it consistent? Maybe. The Pidgeot does give you a lot more flexibility, obviously. And Pidgeot's a really strong card. Also, does let you pull off more combos when you want to go Dialga. With the Scramble Switch and Thornton, you can kind of make a Dialga out of nowhere, which I think is kind of the concept of playing the Pidgeot into the deck. So definitely a very cool build, for sure. Is it the best way to play it over the other builds? Who knows? Maybe. Seems kind of cool, for sure. Another Zard. This one's got an Arceus V-Star in the deck. Interesting. And plays Precious Trolley. And Team Evo. I guess Starbirth giving you that extra flexibility out of nowhere can be kind of cool. Another Drago. Another Lost Box here, Day 2, with the Pikachu. Play Silene in there. We got a Dragapult Pidgeot doing well. I've played a bit of this deck myself also recently in the past couple weeks. It's fine. It does have an awkward matchup into Drago if they get to like Phantom Dive you first, but it's still not a terrible deck. Pidgeot's just a great engine to have, and it makes your deck have a lot more consistency in a game, which is kind of cool. Another Cloth deck here. More Lugia. More Cloth. Below that, we got another Lugia here. This one has the Fluttermane in there. A couple more Snorlaxes here. This one's got the Miracle Headset. And the Miracle Headset also has the spec. And we got a couple more Cloths. Another Archaladon Dialga here with the Scoop Up Cyclone as the spec. Kind of like the Osaka build we saw. Another Charizard here. Let's see what else. More Tropicos Dusknoir. More Cloth action. And then we got another Dragapult Thorns with the Monkey Dory. This was kind of a development actually in the online tournament scene. Haven't done an online tourney video in a while. We're going to be doing that very soon for Prismatic. But yeah, interesting to see the Monkey Dory. It does help against Drago a little bit. Lets you do more damage. Can help against Dragapult like other like Dragapult matchups, obviously. Another Palkia Trapagos here. Below it, then we got Drago again. Another Dragapult Thorns. No Monkey Dory. Actually, wait. There was a Monkey Dory in there. I didn't see that for a sec. I got baited. Another Archaludon. This one's got Squawkabilly to be a little bit more turbo. Another Lugia with the Flutter Mane. Another Charizard here. It's got the Clef in there. Terra Orb. Another Snorlax with the Secret Box A-Spec. And then another Lost Box here. Played by Brandon Cameraman, who's been really loving Lost Box. Another Pikachu Lost Box with the Silene. And then we got another Sarah Legend Day 2. This one also playing to the Palkia. Doesn't have the Crispin engine, though. Plays Legacy Energy also as the A-Spec. But yeah, cool. A couple Sarah Legend Day 2 is kind of sick to see. Another Snorlax. We've got the Shiyu in there. Card we haven't seen in a while. More Guardy. Another Snorlax here. With 2 Clef Keys. Another Turbo Moon. This one's got the Scramble Switch and the Water Energy. Same thing we saw from Toronto. And a Lugia with 3 Cinccino and a Flutter Mane. And then we got our Miraidon Day 2. Yeah, Miraidon does feel a little bit mid. Wasn't the greatest deck for this tournament, just with so much Archaludon, it was a little bit tougher. Also, I guess Charizard is really popular. Just not great for Miraidon overall, but Miraidon's not the worst deck you can still play right now. It just definitely feels a bit weaker in this format. And then we got another Goldengo here. Another Goldengo Palkia. So, yeah, 2 Goldengo Palkia in Day 2. My friend Ruben actually was playing the deck, so that's cool. So congrats to him on the Day 2 with the Goldengo Palkia deck. Another Archaludon. Another Lost Box below it. This one playing the Roaring Moon. So kind of going back to the older build of the deck. No Iron Hands in here either is interesting. But yeah, playing the Moon. Just have the Bear in there, the Cram, the Sableye. 4 Pokestop. So still trying to be as like turbo as you can. And has that canceling clones. That's cool. A couple more Zards here. Yeah, all the unfair stamp builds. And we got another Goldengo. This one, of course, played by Pumpkin Amy herself. She was playing it with the Togekiss. Yeah, Togekiss still not terrible in the deck, right? You can cheese out those wins. There's advantages and disadvantages of playing both Kiss and Palkia. This build also has Thornton, so you can kind of make some cool plays happen with the Thorn in the deck, too. Nice stuff. Another Zard. And then we got more Archaludon with Precious Trolley and Turbo Energize. That's a cool concept, for sure. Another Raging Bolt. Dialga Metang in Day 2 is crazy. There's a lot of Dialga this weekend, not just with Archaludon, but there's a Metang Dialga in Day 2. A deck we haven't seen in a while. I mean, it's not terrible, right? It's definitely not bad. We got Lugia with the Flutter Mane. Another Miraidon in Day 2 here. Another Snorlax. Another Pidgey Control, played by Alessandro Cremascolis. Yeah, iCaterpie was on this deck, I think. Wait, was it the same person? No, it wasn't. Wrong person. I think Alessandro made Day 2 from what I saw. We got another Miraidon. Yeah, Miraidon. Got Guardy. Got the Mawile in there. The Flutter, the Devo. Another Miraidon below it. So yeah, a couple more Miraidons here. We got the Guardy once again. The Devo. Or did I already look at those? Am I trolling? I might be trolling. We got Zard with Prime Catcher here in Day 2, and then we got another Zard with the Unfair Stamp. A lot of A-Spec selections for Zard this weekend. Another Drago Trapagos there. Archaludon Dialga. Once again with that Trolley Turbo Energize engine. Seems kind of cool, actually. Just, again, being able to get those Dialgas out a lot quicker makes sense. A couple Lugia there. We got the Cloth deck. Another Dragapult Iron Thorns with the Toadcruel. A couple more Dragos here. Let's go through these real quick. We'll just kind of skim through most of the decks here. We're kind of getting closer to the bottom. Another Togekiss deck played by Torn, who did play it to that top 8 in Stuttgart, I think. Or it was one of the regionals with the Togekiss. We got a Turbo Moon deck with the Darkrai, so that's cool to see. Another Zard. Let's see. We got Lugia once again. The Flutter Mane, the Double Cinccino. Ancient Box just kind of feels okay right now. It might be better maybe into Archaludon. I mean, it did lose in the finals, though, so who knows. Maybe the Ancient Box deck isn't bad into San Antonio. We'll see, though. I'll do my tier list later on the deck eventually when we get around to it. Another Pidgey Control here. Kind of the more standard build we've been seeing. Another Drago. Another Pidgey Control. Yeah, playing the Buffalon. Just have the Radzard in there and the Mawile, the Wellspring Trappers. We got another Lost Box in Day 2. Once again, playing the Pikachu. Another Zard. Another Archaludon Dialga with the Turbo Energize engine and the Trolley. Cool stuff. Another Raging Bolt. More Drago stuff. Another Miraidon here in Day 2. Yeah, pretty simple. I mean, Miraidon's also like the 60s kind of been figured out. Got another Dragapult Thorns with 3 Clef Keys. Holy. So really trying to capitalize on those annoying starters. 6 Pokemon in the deck to start with. That's crazy. We got the older version of Palkia Trapagos with the Jet and the Bugs. Trying to use the Bugs to be disruptive going second. So that's cool to see. Just really trying to capitalize on that going first. We got another Trapagos deck with the Bibarel in there, sorry. Another Turbo Moon, another Miraidon, another Archaladon here with a Cleffa. I like the idea of Cleffa actually in the deck. There's no Dialga, but the Cleffa is kind of cool. Cleffa's just a broken card right now. What can I say? We got another Tropicos deck, but this one's a bit different. We see just a heavier line of Dusknoir, actually. It's cool. We got a Goldengo here once again with the Togekiss in day 2. And interesting, there's an Arc V-Star Dusknoir deck. I'm not going to lie, all three of these V-Stars had a pretty good showing. Dialga, Arceus, and Palkia. So there's an Arc Dusknoir in day 2. That's kind of cool. Just an insane pop-off deck with Starbirth for a bunch of Dusknoir pieces. Dragapult once again with the Dusknoir in day 2. Another Turbo Moon. Another Lost Box here with Iron Leaves in the deck. Interesting inclusion. We got another Palkia Noctowl here. This one does have the Judge and stuff. We got another Dialga with the Trolley, Turbo Energized Engine, more Cloth, more Turbo Moon, more Drago, another Lugia here, another Archaladon. This one's got Scizor and Starmie, so the Starmie is nice to fix the math, and you have the Scizor, which can be a decent little one-prize stacker. Kind of punch your opponent for overbenching Pokemon. And the Scyther has a Fruit Tree, which is a nice added bonus. Another Goldengo with the Togekiss in there. Another Charizard there. More Drago with the Jamming Tower and the Pokestop. I like that. Another Archaladon with Dialga. Another Tropicos here with the Regidrago. Again, that was like the Tord list, so kind of went out there early. So I'm not surprised to see it as popular as it is. Yeah, for sure. Another Lugia here with the double Cinccino. We got another Dragapult Charizard. This one does have Rabsca in the deck, though, so trying to be a little bit more protective against like Regidrago and Dragon Ball and stuff, which does make sense there, too. Another Cloth. Another Gardevoir. Couple more Archaladon. Dialga's here. Doing pretty good. Another Lost Box. The Pikachu in there. More Guardy. Miraidon once again. Tropicos Dusknoir with a 1-1 Slacking. Okay, I rate the idea. The Slacking gives you a nice big attacker. It can be hard to deal with. I like it. So a lot of really interesting Tropicos lists from this weekend. The Slacking's kind of cool to see. Is this Slacking's first day 2? It might be. I feel like it is. I'm not too sure. It might be Slacking's first day 2. I'd have to check up. I think I'm gonna put it in one of my thumbnails in one of my past day 2 videos. It might be the first one. Who knows? It might be. Hopefully, it'd be kind of cool if it was. Another Turbo Moon, more Guardy. All right, here's the things that are crazy. United Wings made day 2. Oh my goodness. Now, is the deck good? Obviously, in a format with Dragapult and Drago, it's not as amazing, but it is still a fun little one-prize deck. It got day 2, which is awesome to see. We see the doubled the Dunsparce in there for the Jaw Engine. Yeah, really cool. Happy to see that in day 2. That's sick to see. Another Snorlax, another Turbo Moon. Got Regidrago. Guardy. Ancient Box. Cloth. So many decks. We'll see the Goldengo here with the Togekiss once again. Then we see the Tropicos Dusknoir deck there. Shampoo in day 2. I'm not surprised to see that. I mean, the deck's like fine right now. Has fallen off a little bit, obviously, but you know, Shampoo's still like not the worst deck you can play, right? It's kind of like Palkia Dusknoir, you know, it's like fine. Another Goldengo here with the Togekiss in there. More Drago stuff. Tropicos with the Regidrago. A couple more Dragos here. And then, let's see, we got more Cloth. Another Guardy. Archaladon, Dialga. Ooh, interesting. What does this Drowdon do? 130, discard 2 energy. Huh. I guess it does have an attack that could do more damage than the normal one can. I guess that makes sense. That's an interesting one. I forgot there were other Duraludons in the format you could technically use in the deck. That's interesting. Drago. Got Lugia here. Another Archaladon. Scoop Cyclone. Another Lost Box. Playing the Pikachu. Respectable. Another Sarah Legend day 2. Once again, playing Palkia. Secret Box is the ace-spec. And has Monkey Dory in there for the bit of healing and damage. I don't hate that idea. We got Dragapult Thorns once again. Nothing too crazy in that build. Another Pidgey Control. Another Lost Box Pikachu deck here. More Raging Bolt. Another Dragapult Thorns. Yeah, nothing too crazy in that build. I guess 2 Luminous Energy is interesting. A little bit more higher on the energy count. Another Sarah Legend day 2. Once again, playing Palkia. This time it's got the Brilliant Blender as the ace-spec in the deck. Another Dragapult Thorns. This one does have the Monkey Door you've been seeing in the online tournaments. Another Quad Thorns in day 2. Another Archaladon, Dialga, Palkia, Tropicos, Gardevoir. We're almost done here in the day 2, so let's just go through these decks real quick. Got Gouging Fire. Another Gouging Fire in day 2. It's got the Moon in there. Cool stuff. Gardevoir once again. Drago. Archaladon, Dialga. Let's look at this real quick. Okay. Yeah, let's just see if there's anything else interesting. There's just so many decks to go through. And then we still have Rio de Janeiro to look at. Let's take a look at Lost Box decks real quick. Okay, I got Pikachu. Got Pikachu. We'll take a look at the Thorns Dragapult deck real quick. Yeah, this one's also got Monkey Dory and Minior. Really not trying to lose to Snorlax there. Cool. What else do we got? Another Gouging Fire here. It's got the Moon in there. Another Dragapult Pidgeot on day 2 with the Minior. So once again, really not trying to lose to Snorlax. Got the Archaludon Dialga deck. Gouging Fire once again in day 2. This one, no Moon. Does have the Monkey Dory. And then we got an attacking Walls deck here. Ooh, with 2 Entei. And the Entei is kind of cool, right? You can deal with some of the threats like Ogre Pond and stuff. And it's more awkward to KO because of how much health it has. It's cool to see. Raging Bull. What is this? Oh my god. It's the other Fire Raging Bull deck we saw from earlier. Crazy stuff. Who knows? That could be good. Maybe with Archaludon being popular. Dragapult. Whoa. It's an interesting Dragapult. A poison Dragapult list with Gastrodon. This is a really interesting concept. Yeah, the poison does let you do more damage with Phantom Dive. 240 with Phantom Dive on the active. 250 actually. Seems kind of good. That's a very interesting take on Dragapult. I mean, you just don't have as much consistency, I guess, but that's cool. It's a cool list. Another Lost Box. Got Pikachu, Goldengo, Palkia, and Togekiss. So really trying to just cram the two together. I like it. Another Goldengo here. Let's see what this Goldengo. Yeah, Goldengo Palkia once again. Another Shampoo on day 2. Got the Kyogre in there and the... What was it? The Palkia? Yeah, the Palkia and the Kyogre in that deck. Ooh. Zard Pidgeot with Noctowl, Dusknoir, Tropicos. And then we have the other build here of Charizard, Tropicos. That's interesting. All right, well, there you go. That's all the day 2 at Birmingham. As you can see, there was literally 360 decks to look at. So interesting developments. Archaludon was very good this weekend. And then we saw a lot of the... Palkia deck do well. Palkia, Charizard, and Archaludon were like the 3 biggest performing decks. A lot more of a resurgence too for the Tropicos Dusknoir deck. All right, we got the Rio de Janeiro tournament to look at. Once again, that's 300 more decks to look at. We're not going to go through every single deck here, but we are going to look at the top 8. Of course, Fabrizio was able to win with Palkia Tropicos. This is why this deck might be pretty big for San Antonio. It's because it had a very good showing. It had 3 of the top 8 in Birmingham, and of course, won the Rio de Janeiro tournament. As might be the same build as one we saw earlier from Birmingham. Yeah, it is. The 4th place one. And then it actually ended up beating the Iron Thorns deck in the finals, which you'd think is a bad matchup for Palkia, but I guess with Aries Zero, you just one-shot them super easily if you get it set up. You also play the Canton Clone, obviously. Then we got another Drago in top 4. Drago doing good. Another Zard, obviously, in top 4. Another Quad Thorns in top 8. Oh, my goodness. 2 in top 8. And then we had a Cloth in top 8 here. Pretty respectable, obviously. Another Zard. Top 8. We had Pedro Produci in top 8 with the Regidrago deck with the Egg and Place the Temple, but no Jamie Tower. All right. That was the top 8 in Rio de Janeiro. We'll take a look at some of the decks here. We see the Palkia Goldengo deck doing pretty well in the tournament. What else? Let's look at the Archaludon deck. Yeah, it's one of the Turbo ones. Yeah, another Turbo one. Another Quad Thorns here in top 32. Let's see. Goldengo with Palkia and Monkey Dory. And Togekiss. Holy, that's a teched out Goldengo deck. See the Lugia decks here real quick. Look at these Lugia lists here. See if there's anything crazy in them. Yeah, just the normal stuff. Okay. All right, what else we got on day 2 at Rio de Janeiro? It's a lot of tournaments. A lot of Archaludon here, too. It's a lot more Archaludon than I expected to see. Lost Box in top 32. Look at that. Had a decent showing in Rio de Janeiro. Another Sarah Ledge here doing pretty good. I say it's not top 32. I'm trolling. Cool still. See Lost Box have a decent run. Another Goldengo Palkia. Dragapult Pidgeot. That's nice to see. This one's got the EXP share, the League Headquarters, Temple Sinnoh. Yeah, cool. I like Dragapult Pidgeot. Still decent. Goldengo. I might have already looked at that, actually. I might be trolling. Another Goldengo here. This one's got the Togekiss. Some Dragapult Iron Thorns. What else? So any other cool decks? Couple more Goldengos. Lost Box. Tomb Pikachu, no hands. No Lost Box. Okay, we got another Roy Moon Lost Box. So yeah, Roy Moon Lost Box had 2 day 2s this weekend. Interesting. You'd think the deck was as good as Pikachu, but maybe it is. Huh. Let's see. Anything else in these Lost Box lists? Okay, whoa! I see a Durian, bro. What? Durian EX? I mean, that makes sense. I mean, you could do some big damage with Vengeful Crush, and then obviously the ability. It's not great, but sometimes milling a random card can be pretty effective. So that's cool to see. Very interesting Lost Box lists. Anything else? There's a Tina Lost Box in day 2 at Rio de Janeiro. It's playing Unfair Stampus EA spec. Also has the Devo in the deck. Huh, cool. Yeah, Tina, I think has been doing good in the online tournaments too recently, so it's cool to see it in the day 2. Another Sarah Ledge here. This one's got Palkia. Let's see what else. Any other cool decks here? Future Box made day 2. Okay, Future, Thorns, Iron Valiant, and Leaf. So no hands, which is interesting, but really just tries to tech out the deck a little bit with the attacking options. Plays Reboot Pod and Crispin. So honestly, not bad energy acceleration. I guess like the one big thing is the Lacy in the deck. Shuffle your hand in your deck to draw 4 cards. Your opponent has 3 of your prize remaining, draw 8 cards. I mean, I guess if you go Miraidon, right, they take 1 prize, they KO a 2 prizer. Lacy becomes a pretty good draw supporter. So that's kind of cool to see. Yeah, interesting. Future Box in day 2. That was most of the day 2. Everything else is kind of the same stuff we've been seeing. But yeah, Rio de Janeiro definitely had some interesting results. The big one is Palkia Tropicos winning. So yeah, I think going forward, we're going to see a lot more Palkia Tropicos now. I think I'm going to do a tier list video for San Antonio very soon. So keep your eye on the channel here for the tier list video here post Birmingham and Rio de Janeiro as we head into San Antonio later this weekend. So yeah, big meta development. Archaludon, Palkia Tropicos doing pretty good. I think those decks are going to be even more popular for San Antonio. We'll have to see on that one. I think we'll definitely see a lot more Archaludon for sure, because it does have a really good Regidrago matchup for sure. And Drago will still probably be very popular in San Antonio. Still is the BDIF, right? So we're still going to see a lot of that deck regardless. So expect to see more of that for sure. But yeah, hope you enjoyed the video here on the second channel, looking at all the decks in day 2, seeing what was spicy and what was played. Some very interesting stuff, right? I think first time I've seen Slacking in day 2, some cool stuff. So meta developments are definitely interesting, and I'll have more content heading into San Antonio here on second channel very soon. So make sure to subscribe to the channel, and if you're new, subscribe. And leave a like if you enjoyed the video. I'll leave a link to Limitless if you want to go build any of the decks for yourself. Catch y'all later. Bye-bye.